The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Assalamu alaikum. That means peace be unto you. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad. Welcome to Liberated Sisters. We are streaming in the great Leimert Park District and at Morris Media Studios, also on my Facebook page, Charlene Muhammad, and I think my YouTube page, but if not right now, we will be there at Liberated Sisters. In today's show, we have a treat I just developed this morning. My mom, who is part of Pumps on the Ground, she's the original Pumps on the Ground, where I got my news interest, Dora Bob, ain't put to many. She's going to be on for a brief minute. Don't blink, you'll miss it. She's coming up, as well as our guest today is Sister Donna Muhammad. I dare say student minister Donna Muhammad out of Memphis, Tennessee. She is a media magnet, a media maven, and we're going to talk about her work from the office of the national spokesperson of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm speaking of none other than student minister Dr. Ava Muhammad. Sister Donna has created several ebooks and rolling, and there's a lot in store with Dr. Ava, which inshallah will be hopefully having her soon. I'm putting out the invite as we speak. And also, we're going to have the Farrakhan factor, and we're going to talk about these calamities that's striking the country right now. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad. All that and more coming up. But first, the Justice Report. In today's Justice Report, we're going to start out with the national stories, the Final Call newspaper, and I want to touch on some things happening locally as well. But there's the cover, Don't Sell Out Our People. As Trump administration, some black groups and organizations push the controversial COVID-19 vaccine and clinical trials, there's a backlash that has come from blacks who reject the rush for a quick fix to a deadly crisis. One day we're going to have a global coffee session and we're going to read the Final Call, but I just want to give you the headlines right now. Brother Michael Z. Muhammad, that story is by myself and Brother Editor-in-Chief, Brother Naba Muhammad. Questions about safety, corruption, oversight, vaccine makers, and Dr. Anthony Fauci's guarantees. Brother Michael Z. Muhammad out of Philly comes in with that. We won't be guinea pigs. That's the page, the cover story, subcaption. Also, there's a demand by, there's a campaign demanding for the government to get out of Cuba's way and let their doctors help treat COVID-19 in the United States. That's by our brother in the South, Brother Brian E. Muhammad. Sister Anissa Muhammad, our contributing writer, body cam footage in Muslims' death shows horror of I Can't Breathe case in Phoenix. I want to just read a few graphs of how she starts out. All of this news is important, but, you know, this coverage out of Phoenix needs to get more attention. In 2014, she starts out, Eric Garner couldn't breathe. In 2020, George Floyd couldn't breathe. But in between them, in 2017, Muhammad Abdul Muhammad Jr. couldn't breathe, and his story has gone unknown for 3 years until now. I pray I said the name correctly. Police body cam footage recently surfaced showing the events leading up to Mr. Muhayyim's, there it is, death outside of Maryville Community Center in Phoenix, Arizona, on the morning of January 4, 2017. The footage begins with his request to use the community center's restroom. He's holding his service dog, Sister Anissa writes, a chihuahua named Chiquita. There was a dispute on whether he could enter the bathroom with the dog, and police were called on the scene. We know what happens there. The video includes him calling for Allah. He's not going to help you right now. It also includes Mr. Muayyim saying, I can't breathe at least 3 times, and him vomiting before he died. So he was mocked by the arresting officers. And so this story is featured in the Final Call. Please subscribe to finalcalldigital.com. This is on page 4. There's lots of other global, local, and national news. Finalcall.com. And also, you may subscribe to the free Final Call radio while you're there. I want to point out just a few things that's happening here, and I got some astonishing news from our own dear sister here. But 2 LA County Sheriff's deputies were shot and killed in an ambush. The police are looking for the killers. This was last week, there's a major reward out. I think it's over 100,000. It's over 200,000 at this moment. There's local leaders, local political leaders, or some have been saying, they blame what they call anti-police rhetoric. The protesters that have been protesting police violence forever, but also as of late, the killing of Dijon Kizzee, have said, find the killer. It's not us. You're not blaming the protesters here, especially they say, since the protesters have been infiltrated with, others. And so I have heard that Sheriff Alex Villanueva had the audacity to call out LeBron James and saying that he should contribute to the reward. I am going to be looking for that. I want to give some more of that, but that's amazing. As someone I spoke to recently said, where's Blue Lives Matter? And of course, we know that the sheriff's budget is already astronomical, which is there are calls to defund the police. But these are some things that are happening on the ground. Someone was arrested near the scene of the shooting, and a KPCC reporter, a young woman, was brutally arrested. So we're going to check out the city service and see what her status is. But I believe I heard that she was at home, I'm sure, shaken up. She's not doing interviews last that I checked. But these are some things that are happening. Sister Donna and I will get into fires and what have you. We're going to come up with the Farrakhan factor. But that's the Justice Report. And right now, with no more delay, I have a surprise guest. She agreed to grace me this morning. My mommy, Dora, is on the line. Mommy, thanks for holding.
Oh, yeah.
I love you.
Okay. I love you, too.
Okay, Mommy. Thank you. My mom is featured in the book, and she is in the chapter. And look, those of you who ordered, your book is on the way, Pumps on the Ground. I have another shipment going out today. And for those of you who received your book, thank you for ordering. But she's in the chapter entitled Reverence the Wombs That Bore You. And I speak about my mom, my dad, and I photographed them there. And, I talk about how this is where I get my love of, or my interest of the news, right? Mommy. So I called her and asked her for an interview, and she said yes. And so those of you who read it, let me know what you think. But Mom, thank you for joining me. And I asked you to come on because when we were talking this morning, I called to check up on her routinely, and she starts talking about what interests her in the news cycle that day. And I said, you got to come on and talk about this. So Mom, hey, Mommy, what do you want to tell the people before I ask my question?
Years old. I'm from the old school. That's all I can say. I'm old, and my views are probably different from the rest of y'all. But I just wanted to say, I'm sitting down here watching Donald Trump this morning, trying to put peace in the Middle East. Just talking to all these ministers, trying to make peace in the Middle East, and he don't have peace over here in the United States. All he's doing is causing chaos with all these lies and all kind of stuff. Who's going to help us while he's over there trying to help those other people? That's all I have to say.
Mommy, thank you so much. You want to add anything? I know you said that's all you have to say, but before you go, you want to say anything to Liberated Sisters audience?
Oh, I just love you guys. You know, Charlene, you know I'm for y'all.
Thank you,
I'm with
Mommy.
y'all.
Thank you. Love you. When this all clears
love
out,
you
I'm going to
too.
take a flight, God willing, okay?
Oh, please do. Please do.
All right.
Okay.
Love you,
Thank
Mommy.
You guys. Okay,
Bye-bye.
love you. Bye-bye.
That's Dora Jane Bob. I'm telling you, it's in the book. I had to trace back because people would ask me, and I would have to ask myself. And Angela Birdsong asked me, where'd you get into this news like this? And yeah, it was watching, again, little Palestinian children throw rocks at Israeli tanks when I was just a tyke, you know. And so she talks about it in the book. She talks about her background. But to be able to get her on the air, I ran with the opportunity. So thank you, Mom, Dora Bob. Shout out to everybody in Opelousas, Louisiana, Houston. I love you, family. Let's go now to the Farrakhan Factor.
I was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll fight you.
For my brothers, we can go to war. Fight.
Yeah, we have not forgotten about the justice that we seek in America. These two clips, back to back, I think, are of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he is speaking from Justice R.L.'s 10-10-15, the anniversary of the Million Man March, on why justice, God is affecting justice in America, and also, you know, the reason being for the suffering and slavery blacks have endured. Here's Minister Farrakhan.
We were prophesied to be in America 400 years. Let's deal with that. Go home, get your Bible. Open to the book of Genesis, the 15th chapter, the 14th, 15th, and 16th verses. It reads like this. Know of a surety, Abraham, your seed is going to be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. And they shall serve them, and they shall be afflicted 400 years. Who you think that's talking about? It's you. You're the only people that have been under a strange man in a strange land for 400 years. Look at what the scripture says. But after that time, God talking, I will come. And I will judge that nation that they shall serve. We are now living in the day of judgment. And I'm sorry, I don't like to hurt your feelings, white or black, brown or red or yellow. But America now has entered the time of divine judgment. I want you to listen to me, because when I finish today, you're going to see and hear things that you've never seen or heard before. And I'm going to tell you what's coming by the guidance of God and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to judge that nation. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, America is in the crosshairs, these are not his words, they're mine, of the judgment of God. He's after America. Oh, Farrakhan, well, if you don't love America, leave it. You can't tell me to leave. I can tell you to go. Well, let me just be more clear. We paid a price to own this with our indigenous brothers and sisters. We paid a price. I know you're an immigrant, bless your heart. When you got here, the streets were paved with gold for you. From the sweat and blood of slaves that worked for 310 years for no pay. And another 150 years as a free slave, never getting what we are worth. America is under divine judgment as we speak. Elijah Muhammad taught us 50, 60 years ago of what we were going to face. And he said there would be 4 great judgments. Rain, unusual rain. Snow, unusual snow. Earthquakes, hail, and that he would use the forces of nature against America. What you see going on in Charleston and in South Carolina is very serious. They have never seen rain like that at all. How? Why? That's divine judgment. When I leave you today, the calamities are going to get stronger because God wants America to let us go, not integrate us. Let us go and give us a good send-off. Those of you who are scripturally sound, Moses was not an integrationist, and neither are we. Let me be clear. America has no future for you or for me. She can't make a future for herself, much less a future for us. The scripture says, come out of her, my people. And we're going to have to come out. But don't worry. God says he takes the kingdom from whom he pleases, and he gives it to whom he pleases. America, you have a chance to stop the judgment or delay it. Did you hear what I just said? This judgment can be delayed, but it's a very narrow window of opportunity. I close with this before instruction. Brothers and sisters, They came to Jesus and they asked him, when is the end coming? He said, look at this. You can look in the sky and see by the redness of the sky, you can discern that it's going to be a good day. But you cannot read the signs. He said, this wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, but no sign shall be given to you except the sign of Jonah. As Jonah was in the belly of the great fish 3 days and 3 nights, so shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. Now this scriptural scientist, I want you to study. Who is the Son of Man? He's a man from a man. Don't you be looking for no spook.
The minister keeps it real, real. Sister Charlene Muhammad, Liberated Sisters, pumps on the ground. Get yours, liberatedSisters.com. Thanks for everyone who ordered. We have a sister coming up next who is very instrumental in bringing that project to life. But I want to talk about her work first and foremost with bringing the e-books of the student Minister Dr. Ava Muhammad, the national spokesperson of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's, to life. Sister Donna Muhammad, thank you for your patience. Assalamu alaikum. I didn't get it. Donna, come off from mute if you can hear me. Rewind, Donna. You may be on mute. But in the meantime, I'll tell you about some things that Sister Donna has done. Let me pull up and she's Donna Muhammad on Facebook. She's working on her website if you want to follow her. But again, Donna Muhammad has released created for Minister Ava Muhammad some ebooks, and one is Real Love in Real Life, and the latest, where's my cover? I had it right here, everybody. One second. Because I have it. Oh, right. Here it is. So as we wait for Sister Donna, nah. She's there? Sister Donna. Assalamu alaikum. Your mute's not on, but we can't hear you, though. You look beautiful. We can't hear you. Check your computer mute. I see you're unmuted, but maybe it's your regular sound. We'll have Sister Donna in a bit. I can't wait to. She's ready to go too. She is ready to go. What I'm looking for, if we could show Sister Felicia the separation, the separation town hall flyer while Sister Donna comes in. We're going to have more details about this in the upcoming weeks, but a full and complete freedom, the question of separation has not left the table. It is not gone anywhere. This is the best and the only solution. I think I hear Sister Donna.
Assalamu alaikum. Hear me now?
Yes. Wa alaikum salam, beautiful. How are you?
I am well, by thank you for allowing me to be on this wonderful platform today. It is always such an honor to be with you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for accepting the call. I was just mentioning Minister Ava's upcoming town hall and letting the listeners know that, hey, Sister Donna, assalamu alaikum. Letting the listeners know that we would be coming soon. And thanks for your patience. I think I took a little bit more time with my mom, but I had to really explain, her role in the book. But Sister Donna, let's talk about some of what Minister Ava has in store for not just the nation, but the world. starting with the town hall meeting. And again, I know we're going to have more details soon, but let's talk about her work with the call for separation and the movement for separation.
Okay, wonderful. Well, the beautiful thing is that this is not a movement that just started with Minister Avon. It didn't just start. We know, of course, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad put on the back page of the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, and it is now carried on the inside back page of the Final Call of every episode, where we are calling for separation. And I won't read it point by point. I encourage the listeners to go and read that on the back of the Final Call or in the digital edition, where we want a separate state or territory of our own, because it has been proven that we cannot get along with them in peace. And we see it playing out every day in the news media, in our personal lives, those things that don't make it to the TV screen, but that we know that we're a victim of. We see this every day. And so he also asked for the government to supply our need for 20 to 25 years until we can go on our own. So we're not looking for just a handout either, because we put in 400 years of work for this country. 20 to 25 years is nothing. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan again began renewing that call for separation. And he spoke at the press conference in D.C. I believe it was in Newark. I believe it was 2016. He said, he said, you can carve out a place for us. We want that. He said, we'll take 8 states to begin with. And then he spoke again. Well, Minister Ava Muhammad, his national spokesperson, picked up the banner and started with a series of separation town hall meetings, not as a speaking engagement, but to pull people together to discuss it so that we can come together on a referendum, a vote, so that when the time comes, we can choose. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it's a choice. Nobody's being forced to separate, but it's a choice. And if you choose to continue to live under this and think that you're going to see a change after all these years, which we have yet to see, then it's your choice. Stay. Good luck with that. But we choose to separate and be in a territory or state of our own, starting here in the United States of America that we built up. And so we've gone around the country, as you know, as you have covered it as well, and have been a part of the Project Separation town hall meetings, with the 20th occurring at the last official in-person one occurring in Detroit. And Minister Ava has been at the head of this, though it is not her movement per se. We want to remove that perception. This is not her thing. This is not her movement. This was called upon by God in the beginning when he separated the oppressors from the oppressed.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Donna. And with that, you can go to ministerava.com, ministerava.com, to see her latest ebook. And thank you, Sister Donna, for bringing that to us. The Season of Separation, How to Escape Time. It's $4.99, less than the coffee that I buy. $4.99. Minister Farrakhan, Minister Ava writes, declared in his Savior's Day 2010 message, those who survive what is coming will be in the hereafter. That's a quote. He went on to make this profound statement, quote, to escape this, you must be able to escape time, end quote. So how do we escape time in this critical hour? We invite the reader to read, reflect, and apply that which is necessary in the changeover of worlds. I cannot wait to dig into this with my cup of coffee soon. Go ahead, Sister Donna. ministerava.com to order.
Yeah, I think that you summed it up with that, because, in the Holy Quran, there is a surah that reads, by the time, surely man is in loss, except those who believe and do good and exhort one another to truth and exhort one another to patience. So, in is a preposition rather, that indicates a position. So by what time? By what time are we in loss? And here you have the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan addressing how to escape that time, how to make it through this. So, except those who believe. Believe in what? Believe in Allah, the one God, and believe what he represents. We are being taught that we need to separate. That is all throughout the scriptures. There's never been a time when God has asked the people to stay with their oppressors and required them to stay with their oppressors. There is always separation, just like there has been the separation of day and night from the beginning. So we're in loss. We already know we're in loss. As Black people, we have been in loss since we've been brought to the shores of North America, the hells of North America, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called it, because we cannot point to just a few that have made it if the masses are still suffering loss and deprivation every day, right? So by the time, except those who exhort one another to truth and patience. And what is the truth? We cannot live with them in peace together. We must separate. And that puts us actually in a more equal status where we gain more respect. If we want the respect of the world, we have to rise up as an independent people, an independent nation, and be that which we have been called for. So I absolutely encourage everybody to dig into this book. I won't get into how we escape it because read it. Because there's so much more in it.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
so much more in it. But I will give you a hint. Our thoughts are going to have to change.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Old wine, new wineskin. That concept, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Sister Donna. Tell me about the, your experience, if you would, in bringing these print books to life in e-form for Minister Ava.
Oh, okay. So it started with, it actually started towards the end of 2019.
Wow.
Real Love.
You work fast, very fast.
That was,
Very
well, that's when the
good.
conversation first came up, the end of 2019.
The
And
conversation, pardon me, super
yeah,
fast
yeah,
is how you work. Okay.
the conversation came up in 2019. And as people had been, Real Love is one of her seminal books that is constantly referenced and highly recommended. And it had been out of print for a while. But as we're in this digital age, we know that there's more than one way to access materials. And we have to make things available on all fronts. So now going into this journey, I had no experience. It was just a thought in my mind.
Wow.
We should make your books ebooks. Now, you know how sometimes you'll throw a suggestion out,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that you intend to do it. You just say, hey, what a great idea. What if we turn a book into an ebook? and then you know how no hands raise?
We're like,
It's
we're gonna do
group meeting.
that.
It's like, yeah, that
We
would be
said
great,
your
wouldn't it?
idea,
Yeah,
your
great idea.
project.
Right, somebody. So I was like, well, okay. Well, I'll just kind of look into it a little bit and see what it's all about. No skill set at all in it. And then I
Wow.
decided, as we were moving into this coronavirus lockdown, the quarantine, and I started looking at my own habits too, which is, I'm doing a lot more downloading of ebooks. I like ebooks anyway. I like to have the print and the ebook copy of things. And I was, like everybody else, buying from Amazon. It became an online experience, a digital experience. And so I decided it was time to look more into what is involved in the ebook process, go ahead and educate myself, learn as much as I could about it, and do it. And so that's what I did. Well, I've also learned the process, as much as I hate pressure, I work best under pressure. So we
What
set a
is that?
deadline for this ebook to come out and put a flyer out for that which wasn't in existence yet. So now there's the pressure. Because once you advertise something, you can't
You put it out there, and yeah, yeah. I think it just
spokesperson.
started. There you go.
Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Okay, can you hear me now?
Repeat
I'm
that
sorry.
thought.
Sometimes we experience a little instability in our
Yeah,
internet.
it's this tech. The technology has to catch up with our minds. Repeat that thought.
So what I was saying was that I've learned. Can you hear me? I'm seeing that there's a poor connection on my
I
side.
can. We can.
Okay, great. Um, I learned that though I don't like pressure, apparently I perform best under pressure. So we put a flyer out with a due date on it. And you can't roll it back
It's
once it's
coming.
out there.
Right.
Don't want to keep on extending and extending. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, this is a book, a publication by the national spokesperson for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So it's not my word out there at the time. People don't know it's me. My face is not attached to it. They don't know I'm doing this ebook. I'm behind the scenes. This is her face, her book, her publication.
Right, right, right.
Forced me into overdrive to
Mm.
learn how to not only create, format, develop an ebook, but then how to put on the website. So then I had to learn website development because the website hadn't been, it had been semi-operational. We were bringing it back up, but I didn't have a background in that either. Um, and I didn't know really how to do it, how to manage a website, how to put products on. So here comes crash course number 2.
Right.
But in a short period of time, like, okay, you got a flyer, you got a due date. Now you got to have a product. Now you got to put the product
Mm.
on the site, make it functional.
Right.
Uh, so that was my journey into the ebook realm. Um,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
and so I've just been trying to continue to develop my skills from that point on because this is what I want to say about this in closing that point. I don't want us to look at this as this is just another, these are just books that you go and buy. This is a ministry.
Oh yeah. All day.
Her book isn't, it's not a fiction book. It's not, oh, hey, this is the next bestseller that's out. This is what's popular. No, these are just like the final call, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has said about the final call as his number one minister. It is an instrument. It is yet another instrument in the delivery of that which will uplift and change the condition of our people.
Mm-hmm.
So it is with the books of Minister Ava Muhammad. And the reason we chose to focus on real love first is because as we were going deeper into the lockdown, more and more issues started surfacing with people's relationships.
Mm.
The more time we spent together, as the minister said in his Criterion address, and we spend more time, we get to see things about one another.
Mm-hmm.
Things we see things about ourselves, things we like, things we don't like. Unfortunately, domestic violence calls went on the increase as we got further in. So it showed that we have to work out our relationships, the foundation in the home first. And that's why we started with real love. And that's why it was critical for it to be reintroduced in this hour and make it in an easy, accessible format.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sister Donna. And at ministerava.com, you can find parts 1 and part 2 of very riveting conversations, real love in real life. These are Q&As
Yeah.
right now. And thank you, Sister Felicia. Let's show those some more. These are just some of the books just a few of the books that Minister Ava has out that we're speaking about. I also put her link on my Facebook page as we're talking. Here's the latest, The Season of Separation. Sister Donna, very good job. I'm so proud of you. Very, very good job. Ebook technology serves the ministry, someone says. Let's see what the viewers are saying. Yes, thank you, Brother Tyrone. He says, ebook technology serves the ministry. Asika Muhammad B. Is that Brother Asika?
That, that is my husband, world.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Asika. Yes, being it is. We got business. We got business, Brother Asika. We got financial business, okay? And some of the other comments went further down, but you can go to either Facebook or my Liberated Sisters page on YouTube and view the show and also these comments. But Sister Donna, yeah, talk about, and we're going to come up on Pumps in the Ground in a minute, but talk about the experience of hosting and getting the feedback, as well as you heard her answers of her part 1 and 2 Q&As facilitated by you and Brother Troy, Real Love and Real Life. And you can view those right on her website, which I love that, right through her website.
Well, the origin, I'll just say briefly, the origin of the Real Love and Real Life, of course, is the same thing with the publication of the books. It was necessary for this time that we're in, but it was actually sparked by a brother who had purchased Real Love and Real Life. I mean, he had purchased the book Real Love, and he had a question about something included in there. And what was beautiful is he started discussing it with other people, getting their views, getting their feedback, talking to older brothers and younger brothers, talking to those married. And then he sent in his question to her website. And it was such a beautiful and profound question. And you can hear it on Real Love and Real Life Part 1 as we explain the origin of it. But Minister Ava wanted to answer it, but also be able to answer it in a public forum, because more questions started rolling in, as well as questions she's gotten over the years on this phenomenal book. And so that's what gave birth to, hey, let's do a live Q&A where you can submit your relationship questions to be answered directly by her on the format. And really it becomes your own self-counseling course. You know how a lot of times we want marital counseling, and we absolutely many times need marital counseling, but you may have a partner that's reluctant, you know, you, for whatever issues, they may say, I don't want to take it to somebody else, or I don't want to sit with this one or sit with that one. Well, the beauty is you can start with marital counseling in many forms. One of those being this Real Love and Real Life, because though it may have been an individual or two that asked a particular question, if it's on the mind of one, it's on the mind of 100. If it's on the mind of 100, there's 1,000 people dealing with it. If there's 1,000 people dealing with that issue, there's 10,000 people dealing with that same issue. That's a collective mind. So you take these and we begin to apply them. We don't listen for entertainment. We don't listen to place blame. We don't listen to bash the other spouse, to say, hey, see, I told you. You know, we're not listening for just our part to be right. But we read the books. You read it as a couple. You go over it. It becomes your counselor. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has done numerous lectures on relationships. Read those. At a certain point, you put in the heavy lifting. But when you have your questions answered, you have something to go by. You have something to start with. And so she wanted to be able to reach out to people in this format. And we wanted to see how it would be received as well. People tuning in. And of course, we got wonderful feedback, and we got way more questions that could be answered in one program or even two programs. Two programs, which means this has to be a regular, ongoing, and there's some special things. I won't speak about them yet, but I would advise this. Subscribe to the mailing list on www.ministerava.com, because there's something coming up very soon, an event that you're going to want to be a part of, but it's going to go out first to those who are subscribers of her site. They'll get the first notification before it becomes public. Because, again, this is a ministry, and we want to use it to serve in many different ways, to reach everybody where they are in their process and in their development. But we also must read the publications, apply them, use them. And that's what gave rise to it. And in part 2, we wanted to answer some of the unanswered questions, along with those that flow in during the live broadcast, because, of course, a live discussion always gives rise to other conversations. And so that was the purpose of it. And I see you just I just got notification.
I thought I had already. I was like, wait a minute, let me not.
Right.
How
Yeah,
can
you
you be?
subscribed
You
before,
know,
so
when
you're
you're,
a
you know how it
subscriber.
is, Sister Donna. When you're a part of something, you're doing stuff, and it's like,
Yeah,
do this,
you
get.
have subscribed before. I see you subscribed again.
It's like
Uh,
cover down. Okay,
I
good.
get the notification.
I want to miss no announcements. Well, thank you so much for bringing that. September 1st was the most recent, was part two of Real Love in Real Life. And so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it twice. I saw the first one once. I got to go back again because it's a process. So thank you, Sister Donna, for talking about how you are serving to further the work of the student national spokesperson of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in that, very importantly as well, our dear sister, look, we women have to support each other,
Yes, yes.
and we really not just because it's someone that's very prominent, like Minister Ava is larger than life. I was telling Sister Zahira Muhammad, she's our student regional secretary, and she's in the book. She's from Louisiana to Los Angeles to Islam. She was a
Mhm.
major on my journey, and as it turns out, I registered and became a registered member of the nation, and then she came. But I used to listen to the minister sitting on her couch, or when we would be going out to party or to the beach or to jazz festivals or something. So it was funny how, it went 1-2, but nonetheless, we're here and we're serving, and we'll be here, inshallah. But I said that to say that let's talk about your role in Pumps in the Ground, because I have so much gratitude for you, to Allah for you in bringing this project here. Sister Donna did the bulk of the interviews in this book. The bulk of the interviews. Angela Birdsong did the anchor interview, and it wasn't planned. I didn't plan to use that interview that my former producer, my friend Angela, did, but I looked at it and I said, I never spoke about some of these things. And I said, well, why reinvent the wheel? Yes, go ahead, Donna.
Oh, I was just saying that I'm recalling that interview,
With
uh,
Angela?
Angie. Oh my God, so much. I personally, and even though I've known you for what, about 2 decades now,
Up theme.
I personally learned so much more about you. And I respect you, and I've always respected you,
Praise be to
but
Allah.
my level of respect grew more phenomenally through
Wow.
that interview with her. And then aspects, because we work together, we do things, a lot of us, but we may not know all of the
Yeah.
personal life of a person, all of their journey.
Yeah.
There's always something to be told.
Yeah.
Person that loves backstories and biographies.
Hmm.
I like to know what goes into the making of a person.
Right. Right.
And so
Me
as I'm
too.
reflecting on that, and it was long. 'Cause I typed it was so I loved it.
Thank
And I
you.
was grateful to have that, to be able to hear it.
Yeah, yes. And it isn't, Angie ran it, I think, twice recently. And look, it was supposed to be a 30-minute interview. Okay, I know it was long, but she had me
Yeah.
talking. I started talking because ultimately she asked me the question: when did you start following Minister Farrakhan? How did you come to join the Nation of Islam? All you gotta do is say Farrakhan. I'm gonna start talking in the right way. Like, I'm not giving you the secrets, right? But I'm
Exactly.
saying that his impact on my life, I could talk about that for years and years and years. So she did. She asked me. She asked how I became a writer. She asked how, what did I want. She just asked me about myself in my life in the nation. And when I reflect on him, as I say, I can really, really share. So she anchors it. But Sister Donna not only was transcribing at first, but
Right.
thank you for getting that going. But Sister Donna interviewed the former editors. Sister Nadira Muhammad in Houston, Texas, interviewed Brother Naba. Sister Donna, didn't I ask you to interview him?
I did not get the opportunity to interview
What
him.
had happened?
She had interviewed first.
I think I may have asked her first. Oh, cause I don't know. I don't know, but that would have. You probably would have just had a reunion with Brother Naba, and I wouldn't have got nothing.
Right.
Let's
Nope.
be honest.
Fruitless
But
conversation.
let's be honest. But you interviewed brother General Counsel Abdul Arif Muhammad. You interviewed former editor brother. These are all former editors. Brother James G. Muhammad. You interviewed. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm hiding the book. You interviewed.
Don't have
Yeah, you interviewed. Oh, Sister Dora.
Dora.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I want to read the book again. You interviewed Sister Dora, the first female editor of the Final Call, brother formerly Jesse Abdul Qiyam. He talked to my husband. That was heavier more so than Angela pulling out of me what she pulled, because my husband doesn't really talk. He just stands at the door, you know.
Oh, I cried. I cried listening to
Really?
that lecture, that
Oh,
interview. Oh,
wow.
it was coming down my face.
Really? Why? What happened? What part?
So,
Wow.
whew, your husband's testimony
Mm.
of you,
Oh, Donna.
not just as a writer,
Mm-hmm.
but as a mother, as a wife, what it's like to be like in that capacity. Because one thing, because as you said, you mentioned highlight on women,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, sometimes there's times when a woman may be out front more in the particular post or role that they have.
Right, right.
And the role of the man,
Mm-hmm.
who is not just sitting back, because they doing what they do too,
Teacher and the
but
FOI. Yeah,
maybe the more public face.
yeah.
Um, and it's not easy. It's not always easy. It is
Very
not
hard.
easy. And it takes special men to be involved in the lives of women
Mm.
like
Teach.
that.
Yes.
And, so I'm building this up because people have to read it. But,
Yeah. That's real.
as he spoke, I became so
Wow.
emotional in hearing it. And it's like viewing a person, like you may live with a person, you know them, you love them, but when you sometimes get to view them through other eyes,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like back, like I can look at my husband, I see him every day.
Seeker.
Wise, we see each other, we may see each other in our sweats, our pajamas, and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But there's times when you step back and look at them in a way that the world
Mm.
sees them,
Yeah.
but you also have this inside track, and you see the part that the world doesn't see,
Oh, yeah.
don't know about, because as
Yeah.
women, no matter how upfront a woman may be, um, we still got laundry to do.
Oh,
We're still women, 7 units. You know what I'm saying?
cooking,
We're
cleaning,
like
all
regular
of that.
people. I'm a black woman like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same things. So they have the opportunity to see all aspects,
Yeah. Yeah.
the public persona and the personal persona.
Wow.
Um, and when they can see that together and take out just the personal persona and see the work,
Wow.
what Allah is doing through you, it's a blessing to sit back and look at that. And that's what I felt in his interview.
Wow. Wow.
Reflecting perspective, the God work
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
you and what you're doing and why you're doing it and who you're doing it for.
Yes.
The publisher of the Final Call newspaper, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the voice of God in our midst today.
Yeah. Make no mistake. Some of the stuff he shared, I didn't know. It was my first time hearing it, and I kind of, misty. I was a little misty myself. I was like, Brother Jesse, what did you say? He said, I just asked the question. But these are some of the interviews that were there. And so, Sister Donna, yes. And also the encouragement. It took a lot of encouragement, a lot of encouragement. This book was nearly 2 decades in the making. And if
Yes.
I had my way and if industry folk wouldn't have checked me, it would have been thicker than this, because it's not a curriculum vitae. It's not this big long dissertation of all of my degrees and all of this experience and different things, but it's woven through. And I was advised, don't do it that way, but my spirit, the God within kept saying, do it this way. And
That's right.
I detoured, and it didn't come out. It took 2 extra years, but it ultimately is a testimony. It started out as a book of essays, but that's the next book, and then there's a photo book. But there's this just, I just had to talk about what I experienced and navigating and under the tutelage of the minister through his editors, how I became an actual staff member. I contributed and learned, and I'm still learning under Brother Naba, formerly Brother Richard. But it was Sister Dora, was the first female editor who actually hired me as a staff writer. And I was clamoring for that because I knew that the staff was meeting every week, and there would be training, guidance, and more of the steering that's necessary. And I wanted that, right? Because I didn't graduate. I went to Southern 2 years. I moved to California, went to Dominguez Hills. So there's a lot of that in the book. And I speak about Nipsey Hussle. He rounds out the book. I talk about Oscar Grant III, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown Jr., Waukesha Wilson. There's the sisters who were raped by Daniel Holtzclaw, the former cop who's convicted in Oklahoma. There's so many stories that I took out. I even had the African First Ladies and how we infiltrated that conference that they had here that the black press was shot out of. And then next year, the final call is at the helm through me, by Allah's grace, as the media representatives. Not the final call, but myself. And then with me, I
Right.
called the editor. I need your help because I got to do this, and I need somebody. We got to have the story. I'm not focusing. And he came out, and it was just really huge. So those things are in the next piece, by Allah's grace, and more interviews from people or with people who speak about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan directly, and how they've analyzed either things that have happened to him or that he's been going through, but just one-on-one interviews with the about the minister. Well, go ahead, Sister Don. I'm getting all excited. I just
No,
want to
no,
go
no.
read the book
Because you may
again.
that you probably don't even remember, but you called me when you were in Oklahoma.
Oh, I must have needed auditing.
With
I did. I had to
you were
have.
listening to the testimony,
Mm.
and you were angry,
Oh yeah.
and the feelings, the emotions that was there,
Mm-hmm.
and you actually called me. So, and there's been a
Wow.
couple of times when you've called
Yeah.
after
Thank Allah.
conducting a story or in the middle of a story,
Yeah.
and it puts me there with you, and I see your
Mm.
heart and spirit,
Mm.
which is why you put out the quality of work that you do, because
Alhamdulillah.
you're in it. You're not, even though,
Oof.
as reporters, as writers, we are to be unbiased and what have you. But when we're dealing with our people, it's us.
Oh yeah, we got a
It,
position on that for
and
sure.
we have a position, which makes the Final Call newspaper unique too,
Mm.
because we have a position.
Yeah.
Because you're doing this to us. These are our women
Yeah.
that this man was coming after,
Raping
taking
on the
advantage
porch.
of. And so you get wrapped up in it. And a lot of your stories, as Brother Kiam has pointed out when he has spoke on your program before, they become thrusts for different movements
Mm.
as well. People to take action
Mm.
on them
Like
because
Oscar Grant, he
are in
mentioned.
it. You don't
Yeah.
approach these stories like, oh, it's just another news coverage. You approach these stories as they're me and I'm them and I'm this voice for them, because some things we may not even know or get the perspective of until we read it like through your column.
I
That
understand.
perspective, which is a different perspective. It's not like a AP reporter just
Mm-hmm.
going coldly covering it.
Mm-hmm.
This is me going to hear this testimony of this officer who has taken advantage of my sisters.
It was hard to do. Sister Donna, we have to leave it there. I want you to come back because we got to finish talking about it, right? But
Yes.
I'm over time, and I want to respect
Oh,
Sister Felicia's time. But thank you for pointing that out. I wasn't paying attention to the time, but thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, to sit in that jury box behind the youngest victim of Daniel Holtzclaw. Yeah, thank you for answering the call, because I don't know how I would have maneuvered in Oklahoma the first time that I went. But let's talk about it some more, and maybe we do a full show on the book. But you can order it, if you would love to support Pumps in the Ground at liberatedsisters.com. And I have a box going out today, so your book is coming if you haven't already received it. And thank you so much, Sister Donna, for being our guest. And
and
thank you for, yeah.
donation on the site too.
So what?
Cash App. I said, and drop a donation in support of our sisters ministry. Cash
Oh,
App $ Liberated Sisters.
praise be to Allah. It's actually Sis Charlene. But
Oh,
thank you. I have it at my on my website, Liberated Sisters. I have the donation buttons
donate.
there. So thank you, Sister Donna. And
Thank you.
support her
Honor.
work as well. Her website is coming out soon. And thank you, Sister Felicia, the poetess Morris. And thank you to my mommy, Dora Bob, for gracing the
Mom.
show today. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad, saying if it's impacting our community or can uplift us as a people, let's talk about it. Peace. Donna.